So you know that the Pentagon just lost $2 trillion again. They did it in 2001. They couldn't find $2 trillion. And just now, they just couldn't find $2 trillion. $2 trillion.
Did they check the couch?
I don't think so. Well, now, guess what? The Senate negotiators agree to add $45 billion to Biden's defense budget. Now, $45 billion is enough to end homelessness in America. They're not going to do it. They could send everybody to college. They could give everybody a living wage. They could give everybody. They're not going to do it. What are they going to do? They're going to do this. Why? Because America is a failed state. We are 100% corrupt. America is not regular corrupt like people think. America is 100%. American United States government is 100% corrupt, and it's been bought by corporations and mostly people in the military-industrial complex, which is why we can do this while we have people sleeping under every bridge and people going bankrupt when they get sick, and we don't have air conditioning, and we have chipping. We have in schools. We don't have enough hospital beds when people get sick. We don't have enough teachers right now in America. We don't have enough teachers. They have to go recruit people from the military to go teach school. But we could do this all fucking day long. And you're worried about Russia? If you're hurting, it's not because of Russia. It's because you keep voting for people who are criminals like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump. All those people are your enemy. They're not going to do anything for you. Who are they going to do stuff for? Here it is. Joe Biden's the biggest fucking criminal we've ever elected president. That includes Donald Trump. And this is proof of it right here.
You know, all those awesome movies and that montage from the other segment, they're not even going to make awesome movies like that for you anymore.
No.
You get nothing, and you'll get nothing and like it, like Judge Smale said in Caddyshack.
An emerging compromise on annual defense policy legislation will endorse a $45 billion increase to President Joe Biden's defense spending plans. There's nothing...
How is it we can't? I remember in the $2,000 measly, they got and I heard conservatives go, we can't afford to do that, and then all of a sudden we found $100 billion to send
to Ukraine, and now we found another $45 billion.
I hope if you're conservative, it's starting to dawn on you that you're getting tricked a little bit.
The deal would set the budget top line of the fiscal 2023 National Defense Authorization Act at $847 billion for national defense, and would go as high as $858 billion when including programs that fall outside the jurisdiction of the Senate, House, and Armed Services Committee. Though the major bill is still in late stages of negotiations, lawmakers are poised to deliver a second straight bipartisan rebuke to the Biden administration's defense spending plans. The White House sought $802 billion for the national defense spending budget. They're calling this a rebuke. When was the last time someone rebuked you by giving you more money than you asked for?
I mean, they're going to have to give him $2 trillion because we're going to lose another $2 trillion. This is all not enough.
Can I get a kiss? No, she rebuked him. But how about a blowjob? Lawmakers are aiming to have an NDAA ready, that's a National Defense Authorization Act, ready for a vote in the House next week. From there, it would go to the Senate. If approved, would head to the Biden's for signature. Negotiators have been tight-lipped on how they resolve the top line, but a compromise was just, how about we all just totally loot the Treasury? Is that a compromise?
Jimmy,
compromise.
How do you think this will do versus paid sick leave for the railroad workers?
They can't give pay. You know how much paid sick leave for the railroad workers would cost? $275 or $300 million.
No, we need every penny.
$45 billion is given. Why not give that to? But a compromise was destined to endorse a national defense budget that is tens of billions more than the Biden sought after Democrats and Republicans in both chambers backed large increases on the premise of addressing high inflation and keeping pace with China.
What better way to address high inflation than throw money away?
How do we keep pace with China? Well, China will raise defense spending by 7% in 2020, faster than last year. You know how much they spend? Defense spending will rise by 7 to 1.45 trillion won. That's $230 billion. Do you know that's, I don't know, 25% of what we're spending? They don't even spend a quarter.
What if they get a blue water navy?
The total U.S. defense budget for 2022 comes in at just under $770 billion. That's what China's spending. That's what we're spending. And they're increasing it by $45 billion because we have to keep up with the people spending less.
Well, we have to keep up with all of NATO has to keep up, and we pay for everyone else's stuff that they don't pay for because they get health care. And
with inflation factored in, it is good increase, but it's essential because of inflation and also the need to continue significant programs, said Armed Services Chair Jack Reed, a Democrat from Rhode Island and a complete fucking tool and your enemy. He said in an interview, though, he did not specify what amount of panels agreed upon. In the Senate, 13 Republicans are threatening to oppose advancing the bill unless they receive a vote to undo the administration's military vaccine mandate. They want to bar the Department of Defense from kicking out troops solely because they don't receive the shot and reinstate personnel who have been drummed out with back pay. While the Department of Defense certainly must make decisions that will bolster military readiness, the effects of the mandate are antithetical to the readiness of our forces, and the policy must be revoked, said the GOP. Rand Paul says, so how do the big spenders from both parties in Congress respond to the Pentagon failing to track $2.1 trillion? They increased the Pentagon budget. That's the penalty. The Pentagon bill now totals $857 billion. That's $55 billion more than the president requested. It's more than we spend on transportation, veterans education, justice, international affairs, the environment, housing, science, space, job training, and employment combined. So if you don't think you're living in a complete... So you think Trump was corrupt?
We hear that school.
He has that Trump University. You have no idea how much corruption is in $857 billion. By
the way, that's just what's on the books.
That's just what's on the books.
You're allowed to see, not the secret books.
You can end homelessness with less than $55 billion. A budget is a reflection of values, and we should value our unhoused neighbors and provide them resources, not further expand the military-industrial complex.
What about the moral hazard of that?
What about the moral haggard? Did you help vote for the $90 billion in aid to Ukraine Nazis? Oh, so Ilhan Omar getting called out for her hypocrisy.
Right.
You are also part of the reason the Pentagon bill has exploded. She voted for the $90 billion aid to Ukraine. She's also a bullshitter. So there you go. If you want to know about corruption, it's your government. It's not Russia. It's not China. It's your government, the United States government, more corrupt than Russia, more corrupt than China, more corrupt than maybe the rest of the world put together. You're being run by criminals and their name aren't Donald Trump. You're being run by criminals. Their name is the military-industrial complex, the military-industrial complex, the health insurance industry, big pharma, and the oil companies and big tech. That's who's actually running your country. And the people like Joe Biden, who's demented, is not making any decisions. Those decisions are being handed to him by Wall Street and military-industrial complex. And if you don't think so, look at that fucking budget. That budget tells you where their priorities are, and the American citizen ain't it. They're your enemy. Who's your enemy? Russia? No. Your enemy is the United States fucking government. And it's time you rise up against it. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, December 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And we're going to be in Tempe, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you there.